Knuckles comic issue 24. We started with Spectre saying that he thought he'd find Locke here, wherever here is, since the background isn't making it obvious. And Locke says that now's not a good time because he and Archimedes are off to Equinopolis to help Knuckles. Spectre is told that it's important he return to Haven, and Locke asks what could possibly be more important than his son, which would be a nicer thing to hear from him if he hadn't been such a neglectful and secretive father his whole life. Spectre tells him that Haven's been taken over by the Dark Legion, and it's worried about what might happen if their innermost secrets were penetrated. After Locke says he doesn't want to abandon Knuckles when he needs him the most, and I wonder how going to the exact place where Knuckles is could possibly be abandoning him. Not to mention he did abandon Knuckles a while ago. Spectre says that he'll stand even less of a chance if Dimitri uncovers what the Haven's hidden for so long, and then that if Locke goes to his side and Haven falls, no one would survive. The two of them teleport to the lower levels of Haven, which is the only way they can gain access with the element of surprise. Then we cut to Dimitri, and after he says he's never been one to turn on his own kind, Knuckles calls him out on trying to enslave his own people until his brother wrecked his plan. His brother didn't do anything. Some ants broke the wall he was chained up on, and then Dimitri got surrounded by smoke and a building crumpled on him. Why is Edmund getting all the credit for that? Even from the person who literally witnessed the event happening. Huh? Why is he calling the High Council creationists? That word doesn't belong in the Sonic comic. I'd really rather not be reminded that they exist. Dimitri explains that the High Council were afraid that his efforts to restore the island to its original state would upset the balance of power in favor of technocracy. Technocracy? Where did that come from? Dimitri says that his goal is to restore the society to the way things used to be, and Knuckles resentfully remarks, "You mean we used to be a bunch of thugs who beat the weak and helpless?" That's a good comeback, although isn't he by extension calling himself weak and helpless? After Dimitri dismisses him with a terrible comeback, we cut to Benedict saying that the High Counselor has resigned and that he can replace the Constable if he wants to, or can make him have a lifetime of working for him if he swears his loyalty. The Constable snarks that he's just presuming he'll win. And Benedict explains that thanks to the fiber optic data transmission network installed in every home, not only does an election cycle happen in mere days as opposed to the months-long process in the past, but the Dark Legion can rig the vote to affect the final outcome. Then the Constable, who fortunately doesn't really want to support him, gets blackmailed with a secret potentially coming out. I forgave Dr. Quack for the same situation, so I probably won't hold it against him. If anything, it makes things more interesting. Meanwhile, there's a major oh crap moment as Knuckles is about to be brainwashed by Dark Legion apparently. Dimitri explains that while he endured long months of cybernetic reconstruction before old age would almost get to him, explaining why he looks like this, he realized there had to be something special about Knuckles to let him win against him. After Xena makes a pun about dingoes being lazy, and I'm not even sure why dingoes would have the laser stereotype, when I thought they were stereotyped to be army men instead, who would by definition be very hard working. But whatever. Xenon, after that racist joke from a Dark Legionnaire, threatens Julie with a blaster for not appreciating his sense of humor. Well, that's mature. Then we see some Dark Legion goons walking through Haven, with one of them pointing out based on Haven looking all technological that I thought these guys were supposed to be against us. Instead, they come across more like us. I like that a goon of theirs actually pointed this out. Then they get immediately knocked out by Locke and Spectre, with Spectre nagging him for not using the power of the Emerald. Locke replies that it felt more honest using his fists to do the dirty work. I like that. The Constable fortunately refuses to support Benedict, and after the High Counselor gets knocked out for outliving his usefulness, the Constable tells someone to send for the medics for him, and fortunately runs into Harry the cab driver once again. I wonder why he doubts the idea that he's not getting in trouble. Does he have a past history we're not told about? Well, whatever. He's told to follow Benedict's car, and I love how Harry lampshades his situation. Don't you ever request anything that isn't detrimental to someone's health? It is pretty coincidental that they always keep running into Harry and not some other cab driver, but it's good to have a recurring character instead of a different one nobody cares about every time. By the way, we saw the Constable and the other cops with police cars the second time we saw them. So why does the Constable have to constantly rely on a cab now? I mean, we used to see them have cop cars. So did the technology ban finally catch up to them? and now they have to rely on cabs? Meanwhile, we see a Dark Legion goon saying that the readings he's getting from the magnetic imaging resonator are totally off the dial. I like that these menacing looking villains still talk all informally like normal people, using slang and everything, because it really drives the point home that they're just people who've been born and raised in the Dark Legion like a country of its own, rather than just being thugs supporting it for no reason. It's explained that the resonator doesn't show a trace of any artificial implants, enhancements, or devices of any kind, and Dimitri says, looking shocked, that if Knuckles is indeed the natural source of such energy, the readings mean that he's capable of generating power akin to a Chaos Emerald. He then thinks about the possibility of someone bioengineering the ultimate echidna, and wonders what limit that individual's abilities would extend to. I'd like to point out that I have no problem with Knuckles having been that whatsoever. He's one of the main characters of the franchise, and with there being so many other Guardians before him, I like the idea that they do something more to make him stand out as more special and powerful than the rest, rather than me wondering why they don't have some other Guardians they're relying on. It helps legitimize him. So I don't hold this against the person who bioengineered him in the slightest, if it's not already obvious who that person is by now. Obviously Knuckles benefited from it, and if anything, I'm wondering why this hasn't been done with every Guardian. Then an alarm goes off, and I can't but laugh at the amusing sight of a Dark Legion goon looking really cowardly when he's supposed to be menacing looking. He says that the resonator is overloading, and he can't shut all the systems down. It's as if they were plugged into a limitless power source and can't disconnect from it. The window shatters while not injuring the person right in front of him for some reason, and fire breaks out on the control panel, with the entire network being in jeopardy as Dimitri asks if he can extract him safely from the chamber. Makes sense since he wants him alive to use him for the Dark Legion's cause. It's explained that at the present rate of radiation discharge, the chamber will be uninhabitable in less than 15 minutes. Why would the Chaos Energy intentionally emit nuclear radiation and endanger the person that is in charge of it? Dimitri has the order to either evacuate or attempt to destroy Knuckles. Uh-oh. Harry is nervous because Benedict checked into the Technology Now campaign headquarters, and he's heard word on the street that it's a bad idea to try to threaten those people. The constable tells him to try to find a way in through the back, and Harry, fortunately still helping, lampshades, one of the smart things to do first is to call your troops in for backup. That is a good line, except instead of is call, it should have been B2. I even had a hard time saying that. The constable gives an actual explanation that right now he's not sure who to trust. Oh, the female echidna is called Commissar. For fuck's sake. What's wrong with Emily? Why is Emily such a bad name for an echidna? She looks cartoonishly shocked at discovering that she's lost contact with Central Command, and a blackout happens and a good bit of karma against Rex for having caused one earlier. Commissar asks how the blackout could have happened, since their troops are everywhere in Haven. And Rex says that he knows how to use the labyrinth to their advantage, and that his cybernetic eyes have night vision for them. But then Spectre shows up and blinds him with light right after that, which makes perfect sense since you're able to see in the dark by enlarging your pupils, which would make sudden exposure to bright light all the more painful. Spectre turns on some sleeping gas canisters that they hooked up to the ventilation system. It sure is a good thing those are already there. When did they get hooked up? Haven sure is crazy prepared to have thought to put those in there when the outside of Haven is supposed to be impenetrable to the enemy attack. Dimitri gives the order to evacuate because Knuckles is much more valuable to him alive, and Julie and the General are left hanging in a burning room because Zenon says that all he sees are traitors. Even though Julie's the only traitor here, General Stryker didn't betray him. A goon shows concern for Dimitri, and is told that Dimitri left orders that he wasn't to be disturbed no matter what. Benedict then gets revealed by an explosion and electromagnetic discharge to be a robot. Huh. I was actually kind of suspecting that when I saw the person behind the brainwashed High Counselor for the first time. And for some reason the constable is forcing Harry to come along with them and risk his life instead of staying in the cab. The constable is able to release Julie and the General, and it's revealed that the Dark Legion goons around them are in shock because the Legionnaires are dependent upon their enhancements for survival. Makes sense if you consider that their enhancements are actually just roboticized vital organs like hearts and lungs, so maybe they really do need them for the same reason we need our vital organs. It's an interesting concept, if unnecessary. It's nice that they try to help them, with the constable telling Harry to go find a working phone to get the medics in here. Yeah, find a phone. because the technology ban bans cell phones, but not payphones.
And not all cell phones have tons of extra features that would be considered excessive under the technology ban. The earliest cell phones just made calls. Why are they banned and not payphones? They're literally just portable payphones that you don't pay.
The general is annoyed, asking where the constable is going, and is given the reply that he wants to find the cause of this mess and check for anyone else needing help. Did I mention that I really like this character? Did I mention that I really like Constable Remington? He's serious and competent and cares about being a good police officer. And I even like his design. He'd look intimidating if he dressed like you expect a policeman to. Knuckles fortunately gets rescued, seeming no worse for wear, despite being in the middle of nuclear radiation. So I can only assume that his body created a protective aura protecting him from the effects of his body's subconsciously activated self-defense mechanism, aka Deus Ex Machina. But that doesn't explain why the constable isn't affected by it. We then end the story with Dimitri watching some security monitors with a giant wall of text boxes around him that look pretty intimidating to read. He explains that he has a backup candidate to replace Benedict. How convenient. Guess it's another robot. Sadly, the High Counselor met a pretty terrible fate as the power surge took out the device tied into his neural implants, leading him to spend the rest of his days as a vegetable, a fate that even his showing racism against the dingoes didn't make him deserve. Also, rest of his days? The narration is talking as if Dimitri knows this for an absolute fact, as if he traveled forwards in time just to check that, yep, he's there for life. You'd think the echidnas with all their advanced technology would have been able to cure him just fine, but they failed to cure the queen, so... This issue is written by Ken Penders, and is the one that finally starts to make it more obvious that Knuckles was bioengineered to have more magic than a normal Guardian would. Good for him! It's to the point where his body is able to save him with a defense system that somehow activates while he's unconscious and doesn't know about it, so that was convenient. However, this ends up with Dimitri planning on taking advantage of Knuckles later on somehow. Thing is, why did they even put him under if they weren't planning to brainwash him like they did the other guy? Because he wakes up and he's fine, they put him under and then they just left without doing anything to him? I do like how the Constable, Harry, Spectre, and Locke have got to save the day. Although it does leave me wondering why Archimedes didn't do anything to help then, since I was expecting him to because of his ability to teleport to Haven at will. I never thought Harry would be used to help again, so it was good to see him, and it was good to see him just as snarky as ever, and to see Locke actually doing something to help. Oh no, it was a pretty engaging story that I enjoyed reading. Next up is issue 25 of the Knuckles comic, the last one until the next Sonic Super Special.